All right, welcome to the channel. And this is episode 6 of Agatha All Along that just dropped. And these are my thoughts after watching it. Okay, so what do you know? They actually can produce a decent episode, or at least half a decent episode, I would say. Um, this is my favorite so far. It's actually the first part of it, at least, is actually a good episode. Interesting, well acted, well written. Unfortunately, it's only because it focuses on gay witch and gives you some backstory for once, so you actually know what's going on. Um, the only problem where it starts falling apart is, for me, anyways, personally, is when um, Catherine Hahn shows up to go pretending that she knows how to act. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I thought it was a decent episode. Um, you learn something, or at least I learned something. It starts off in a bar mitzvah. I've never been to one, so if it can't be entertaining, at least if it's informative, I can kind of dig it. Um, Gay witch, the guy sitting in the chair. You find out a lot more of what's been going on, and that's good. He does a good job with it, or his whole thing. But eventually it shifts back to Catherine Hahn and Agatha, and she just this weird, stupid character that nobody likes. This is they actually go back to when the two of them first meet, and she's doing this supposedly hard ass cop thing, which she totally can't do, and she just comes off laughable. I mean, any worthwhile criminal would just laugh in her face. And she does the thing with the notebook that she did in the police station in episode 1. She does it at home again. And I don't know what the hell this looks like, a lawn sprinkler on her hip there. I don't know what that's there for, but she keeps playing with it. So, yeah, it's she's the worst part of the episode, or her bit that's written in the script is the worst part of the entire episode. For me, anyways. Um, there is some spoilers here, so if you don't want any spoilers, I would suggest you stop listening to this, but otherwise I'll go into it in a bit more depth. So, one of my big pet peeves about a lot of the Disney stuff, whether it be Star Wars or Marvel, even though I like both of those properties, is that they keep bringing in stories where you have to have watched other stories or episodes or series, otherwise it makes no sense. If they had the excuse of they followed the comics closely, uh, it could be said that, okay, you'd have to read a bunch of comics to understand what's going on, but they don't. They've totally changed all the characters. And so in this case, if you did not watch WandaVision, you totally get lost in this episode, even though it's a big improvement. But it just, other than pushing their other properties, and I kind of hoped that that's not what they're doing, but I kind of think that's what it is, to force you to go watch WandaVision just so you can understand. But I really detest that, and but that's the only reason I can think of what they're doing. Because again, you start off, even though because I've seen some of WandaVision, I never watched the whole thing. Well, I fast forwarded through lots of it. So I did go through all the episodes, but I basically fast forwarded through huge swaths of the show, of each episode, even though there was some things to like in WandaVision. Um, but this series is tied so much to WandaVision, and then it kind of also pushes some upcoming project. Apparently, there's going to be a Vision show, so they mentioned the Vision. Well, the White Vision specifically. If you didn't watch WandaVision, you don't know what the hell they're talking about, other than people who maybe read the comics and would understand the character. Anyways, I'm sort of wandering off course here. So, Starts off where I say the interesting part. You see Gay Witch, who is Billy Kaplan, is his character, and you see his name on a invite to a bar mitzvah. So you see him sort of preparing some stuff and whatever, and it's like I've never been to a bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvah. Jeez, I can't say that. So I found it kind of interesting where you're seeing some of his preparations. Probably isn't everything, but I just found it interesting. So he's got that. You see his family, mother and father. They're getting along, which is kind of rare sometimes nowadays that the kids aren't assholes and the parents aren't assholes. But they're getting along, and as in addition to a DJ and dancing and all this stuff, they have a palm reader tent set up at the bar mitzvah. And gee, guess what? Old witch. So I basically separated them into Agatha, Asian witch, black witch, old witch, gay witch, and squeaky voice witch. Because I can't remember the characters' names at all. You actually, I didn't know Billy's name until they say it so many times during the show and bring it up that you actually start remembering it. Anyways, so he goes into the tent, and it is the old witch from the earlier episodes, and she's doing a palm reading and just going through the motions like she normally does, until suddenly something hits her, the lights flicker, and you see in her crystal ball an upside down vision of Billy, who's there in a suit. You see his character, as you can see here on the screen, as he appears in Agatha, with this kind of patched together shirt with the blue hoodie. And she's giving him some cryptic clues, but doesn't really come out and said anything, and then um, tries to calm him, that like he gets a bit excited about, what are you seeing, and oh, nothing, don't worry about it, you'll be fine, kind of thing. But well done on her part, well done on his part. So anyways, now you see another thing I liked is they show a bit more of the story. So you see that it is this witch, the old witch, that puts the spell on his mouth that he can't say, nobody can hear what his name is. And you get those goofy lines appearing on his face every time. Well, it was her. So she writes on a little wooden block the symbol that you see across his mouth and sticks it in. He leaves the tent and leaves her jacket. She pops it into his jacket pocket, and suddenly totally forgets about it. So I don't understand how that works. I just thought it was kind of a protection spell. I guess the protection is everybody forgets about it. And the jacket gets back to Billy. So they're still doing the bar mitzvah thing, and then suddenly somebody runs in and, oh, there's been an emergency declared, everybody go home. So you see him and his parents jump in the car, off they go, police cars coming the other direction. And you then get a glimpse through the trees of this red wall. And again, if you haven't seen WandaVision, you don't know what it is, but that's Wanda Maximoff's spell, which has trapped an entire small town, and she's forcing everybody to play through her fantasy. Not really a fantasy, but anyways. So she basically tortures everybody in the town, not specifically torturing them, but forces them to play with her vision, and they can't do anything else other than fulfill her fantasy. So their lives are basically on hold. So they're driving along, and I'm sorry, this is going to be a bit sexist, but it was like at one part in the movie, the car that they're riding in loses control and crashes, and it just burst out laughing when I saw that. and it just came out of me that I said, that's what happens when you let a woman drive. Sorry. But it's his mother's driving. Nothing to do with a woman driver. They just need a car crash because Billy Kaplan dies in it. You hear at one point they're panicking, they're trying to get an ambulance. You hear his very well done. You hear his heartbeat gradually slowing until nothing, which is his death. And then suddenly you hear some stuff and his heartbeat picks up again. And he jumps up and he goes, Tommy. Again, if you don't know anything about or didn't watch WandaVision, during WandaVision, Wanda created children for herself from her envision. Can't happen in reality, but in her fantasy world, they are somewhat real beings because they could actually interact with the real people in the town. So there was this guy and Tommy. So what you take from that, if you pay attention, is that um, Billy Maximoff inherits Billy Kaplan's body when Billy Kaplan dies. Not a bad story idea. Actually, kind of works and explains kind of what's happening. So they get him to the hospital. Just side note, the Asian witch appears as a firefighter in this episode. Why? No idea. She just is there. Um, and they take him to the hospital, check him over, and now he's able to hear people's thoughts, which I guess I don't remember that from WandaVision, but probably was there. But because he's Billy Maximoff in Billy Kaplan's body, he doesn't remember anything of his previous life, so they take it down or chalk it up to amnesia. Um, but he gets into some situations with his parents because he can hear what they're saying about it, and they're driving him nuts because they're overly concerned. So again, all this is good. I like the acting in it. The writing is good. And he goes home and he goes up to his room and he's staring into the mirror and he keeps saying, Billy Kaplan, Billy Kaplan, I'm Billy Kaplan. So he's basically faking being Billy Kaplan. Um, and just, again, the amnesia has never disappeared. So, yeah, all in all, I thought pretty good. Well done. Well done for the young actor. Writing is okay. All the characters are okay. Um, yeah, it was good. So then he and you can see when he first goes up to his room that he's got like Houdini pictures on the wall and stuff. So it does show that even as Billy Kaplan, he did have some interest in magic, and that's why he goes into the palm reading tent, I guess, as well, and probably why they had the palm reading tent. The parents knew that he had an interest in the occult or whatever you want to say. Um, so then they skip ahead 3 years, and uh, Gay Witch and boyfriend are in the car, and Gay Witch is trying to explain that he's different than that he died in the car crash, and that he's different, and uh, but anyways, they have a scene together, and it's teen love or whatever. But he decides that he takes his boyfriend back to his room and starts explaining all the stuff that he's um, uncovered. He's got kind of like a murder board from a TV show about crime, and he's tracking things down, and he's filling in details of what has happened with Wanda and all those things. So again, that's another good part of the episode. You get a lot of background in some of the stuff, but for some reason um, he does learn about um, a lot of stuff, and then he's going to meet somebody like a deep throat type character that he met online, and he goes to a parking garage, and it's kind of like the scene out of Deep Throat. If you don't know the movie, Google it. But basically, uh, uh, again, here's where we have to see WandaVision because this character shows up and he gives a lot of background on what happened inside um, the red, you know, Wanda Maximoff's red box, and telling what happened to him because he was in it. So again, if you didn't see WandaVision, at one time this guy that they're meeting in the underground garage, who is sort of gone a bit bonkers, it's kind of a conspiracy theory, not now, but it's based on what happened to him and all this stuff. So he talks about WandaVision or Wanda and all this kind of stuff and the kids and the he was in WandaVision in that he shows up as WandaVision. If you ever saw Age of Ultron, her brother was a speedster and he dies. Well, this guy from the garage shows up as a speedster in WandaVision. Um, Different actor, so it was kind of obvious that the actor was different, even though he was playing her brother, Wanda's brother. So again, it was kind of strange. And then the funny part about it was that they brought the actor who played Quicksilver from the X-Men over to play Wanda's brother, the speedster. I don't know what his character name is, but whatever. So that was kind of weird or funny and backgroundy thing and all kinds of stuff like that. But he's talking about how bad Agatha is and how she's evil and all that stuff. And he's sorry, he's referencing things. So he talks about this nice lady he held hostage. Well, that was um, Monica Rambeau, and they're in WandaVision. She gets held in. Um, he's still got the speed stuff in WandaVision, and he sort of keeps her trapped in his attic, out of the way of what Agatha wants to do. So, anyways, he gives him a bunch of detail and whatever, and that's they're able to. Billy's able to read his mind about don't ask me about Agatha, don't ask me about Agatha. So he asks her about Agatha, of course, and that's when he talks about how bad Agatha is, and apparently I don't know how he really would know, but anyways, he says, well, Agatha's still in this Eastview town, which is what the town that Scarlet Witch took over for her fantasy thing. So he decides, the Gay Witch decides he's gonna go see Agatha and try to, because this character that they're meeting in the garage says, well, seems to still be under uh, Scarlet Witch's spell. So Gay Witch decides he's gonna go break her out or get her out of the spell. So then you sort of skip over um, to being outside um, Agatha's house when she's in this. What she does in episode one, pretending or playing at being a cop, and it's just that's when the episode starts going downhill because she sort of totally starts overacting and pushing her character and whatever. But you kind of see maybe an enhanced version of the first episode when he breaks into her house and she captures him and tapes him up and all this stuff. And you see him breaking her spell so that she understands who she is, that she's Agatha and not this cop. And after that, they sort of go back to the road because they're sort of caught up. And you see Agatha crawling out of all the goo that's on the side of the road that she sunk into. Why the other witches don't is beyond me. But it's one of these writing of convenience. They want that to happen for the story. So she crawls out and then she actually calls Billy by his real name, which is Billy Maximoff. He actually crushed the little tile that the um, other witch at his bar mitzvah put the spell on that he couldn't say. Well, he was actually saying his name, but nobody could hear it. So it was some kind of protection spell. And so they have a back and forth, and then they decide that Billy's powers from the previous episode are gone. He can't wavy his hands anymore. But he says he doesn't trust Agatha, but he's going to continue on with her. And that's kind of the end of the episode. So that's it. That's it for the show. Bit of spoilers in there. But I will say, so far, it's probably the only episode that I've really kind of got anything out of that I enjoyed. Gay Witch does a good job with his character. Like I said, when Agatha appears in the episode, it goes rapidly downhill because she's preening and prancing and all sort of the annoying stuff she does, and she's doing her hard-boiled cop again, and can't pull it off, and that's the weak part of the episode. So I do think it takes us to a place. Now there's not a lot of episodes left. There'll be 7, 8, and 9, but uh, they are at a place where it's coming down to the end credits kind of thing, and we'll have to see what happens. But at least Billy's lost all the hero worship that he sort of had with Agatha up front and realizes what she is, and they're going to go on from there. So I'm actually interested to see what happens in the next episode. Who would have thought? But yeah, so in general, it's so far the best episode of this show that there's been, and I've enjoyed it the most. But that's it. Okay, thanks.